I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, mamas! Welcome to another episode. I feel so invigorated right now. I hope you are doing really well. I feel like I'm finally bouncing back after surgery, and I also had my birthday, which always just feels very New Year-like for me. So I am just feeling like a new person at the moment. Minus an appendix, plus another year, feeling good. All right, I have a couple things that I want to get into before we get into the episode. So first, I wanted to update all of you who are curious about what I'm doing and where I am in my own anti-racism journey. And as a leader, I think it's really important for me to share this, not with the intention to earn a gold star or get a pat on the back, but to really lead and light the way for those of you who also want to be doing this work. I've heard from many of you in my community that you've wanted to help and you've wanted to do something and you haven't known how or what to do or what to say, and that me sharing what I'm doing and the resources that are helpful to me is really helping you. So here it is. I've committed to doing the work to teach and model anti-racist behavior with my children and in my home. I've committed to taking action to advance racial equity in the organizations that I volunteer with, and to doing the work to make my business a truly anti-racist company. I'm expanding my media from who I follow on social media to the authors I'm reading and the shows I watch and the podcasts I listen to. I'm looking at the businesses that I'm giving my money to and looking for opportunities to be choosing a Black-owned business where possible. I'm looking at who gets my vote on everything from local judges to Senate primaries and beyond. I'm financially supporting causes that fight racism. And I've hired an anti-racism coach to help me take these steps and to identify more ways that I can make an impact in my business, in my life, in my community, and our country. I think that when we look at history and we wonder how the mass population at the time could have just sat by while horrible things were happening, we need to realize that it looks like this. It looks like how our life has been. It looks like choosing to stick your head in the sand, opt out of following the news, insulate yourself from the perspectives of other people, and stay silent because you don't know what to say. And if you have been that person who's learned about history and you feel like you would have done something about slavery or the Holocaust or during the Civil Rights Movement or any other historical event, if you think that you would have done something and stood up and been a part of the positive change, you really need to think about what you're doing now and what you can do now, because I know that you care. And I know that you want to do good, and I know that you can. So I invite you to come with me in this process to do your own work on this and to really find your place in this movement. All right, next, I've created a new training, and I am really excited to offer it to all of you. It's coming up really quick too. So this is happening on June 25th. I'm going to be offering a free live training about making money online. I believe that there has never been a better time for women to become financially independent than right now. And yet there's a lot of BS and confusion about how to do that with your online business. So I want to cut through all the noise and show you what actually works. I'll be teaching you how to use my equation for money, no matter what kind of business you have or how you're marketing that business. I'm going to show you the 3 essential beliefs that must be in place to make money with that equation, and the mistakes that almost every entrepreneur makes that stop them from making money, and how you can either stop doing them or skip them altogether. This is a live training on Zoom, and all you have to do is register. It's June 25th at 12 p.m. noon Eastern, and you can register at bit.ly/moneyequation, bit.ly/moneyequation. All right, let's get into it. A few days ago, my clients asked me about failure and failures that I've had while building my business. I tend to attract really high-performing, super smart women as clients. These are women who have typically been star students and achieved everything that they've gone after prior to building a business. Building a business totally knocks them on their asses, and their confidence in themselves suffers. They start to think that they aren't cut out for building a business, and this couldn't be further from the truth. What's actually happening here is that people who were great students and generally high performing are actually typically what I call failure fragile. This means those of us who were amazing in school do not know how to fail. We've avoided it like the plague throughout our lives and been rewarded for avoiding it. So faced with the amount of failure that's required to become a successful entrepreneur, we crumble. I know this is really crappy news. I get it. I'm with you. I was always the A student and teacher's pet kind of person. And I still remember the day that I found out at age 21 that my blood type was A positive. I got an A+ on the blood test. I was thrilled about that, and it really felt like it validated my identity as somebody who gets A's. And when I went to build a business, I brought this same identity. I am someone who gets A's. But building a business doesn't come with a rubric for an A. Building a business isn't school. It's actually the complete opposite of school. Building a business is innovation. It's doing something that hasn't been done before versus meeting expected criteria. It's drawing on a blank piece of paper versus coloring in a coloring book. The way to build a business is to fail, to get F's over and over, to learn all the ways that it doesn't work. Building a business is like being Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb, trying 10,000 different types of filament before you find the one that works. And in our businesses, the faster we speed up the process from failure to failure and speed up the lessons that we're learning in between, the faster we hit success. But when we're failure fragile, when we're so inexperienced with failure and we avoid failure really well, we tend to spread out the period of time between our failures. We tend to quit, and we tend to avoid taking the risks that are really necessary to build the businesses we truly want to have. So today, I'm going to be talking about how to stop being failure fragile and what to do instead. From one A student to another, this is exactly what you need to stop holding yourself back and start doing what it takes to create the successful business you are dreaming of. First, Let's dissect what's happening in our brains when we are failure fragile. When we have a strong association with being a high achiever and being successful with what we do, it leads us to only want to do things we know we will be good at. It leads us to take smaller steps in our businesses, and at the first hint of failure, totally shut down. We think that failure is the opposite of success and achievement. So if we're failing, we're headed in the wrong direction. But actually, we're headed in the right direction, the direction of taking action. Failure fragile wants to stay comfortable, safe, and feeling good. If we can't feel that way, we don't want to try. When we're failure fragile, the main problem is that failure is so foreign to us. We have an intolerance to it. We have no exposure to it. We aren't sure that we can survive it, let alone grow and benefit from it. The reason we have this cultural idea of school dropouts being successful in business is that somebody who has experienced failure and survived knows that they survive when they fail. So failure is not daunting to them. It doesn't freeze them into inaction. It doesn't faze them. Failure is just a part of how life is. But I want you to know that A students and the failure fragile can build successful and super profitable businesses. I am one of them. My first year of business, every single thing I did failed. Here are some examples. I created 3 courses. I sold none of them that entire year. Nobody bought any of them. I ran Facebook ads, and that didn't work to create any clients. I created multiple freebies that got me nowhere. I offered a free live training that nobody came to. I offered free 8 weeks of coaching to 6 different women. None of them completed the 8 weeks, let alone sign up for paid coaching. And I paid for leads from a website that amounted in my first paid client who paid me $40 for 1 session and then ghosted me forever after that. In my second year, I did some more failing. In that second year, I offered people month-to-month coaching contracts, and all of my clients quit when it was hard, so none of them got results. I did most of my consults horribly wrong for most of that year. I talked to at least 100 women on the phone, and I didn't sign most of them as clients. I did a series of Facebook Live interviews where I promoted other businesses, and I didn't make offers for my own business at all. I started a podcast, this one, that wasn't really clearly relevant to my business. It used to have a different name and a different focus, and I also didn't even promote it very much, and it definitely didn't create clients for me at all that year. I rarely made offers in my own Facebook group, so I didn't sign clients from that group for most of the first year that I ran it. And I ran a mastermind group for $50 a month, and it started off with like 6 people in it, and then half of them quit before the end of the 6 months. All of these things were so embarrassing and shameful at the time. I haven't talked about a lot of these stories, and so when I shared these with my clients, they were kind of surprised, and I even felt surprised. This is like not how I think of my business now, and it's kind of interesting to think back at all the fails. I was even saying like, it is so impressive that anybody signed up with me in the second year of my business, especially the first half of that second year, because I had no freaking clue what I was doing, but I was getting out there. So here's the difference between year 1 and year 2 for me. In year 1, I shut down between my fails. I took prolonged breaks for months at a time in my business. I didn't work consistently, and I didn't learn from my failures. In my second year, I never took unplanned breaks from my business. In fact, I worked at least a little bit almost every day. I started studying my failures, taking one lesson from each one, and then repeating the same thing over with that one tweak made to it. I did this repeatedly in my networking, in my discovery calls, in the offers I made, and with my clients. And eventually, things really started working. I hit 2K months, then 5K months over the course of that second year. I made $42,000 in my business that year, and in the next year, I made $210,000. I did that in large part because of the foundation that I had built from the previous work I did, even in the year that I only made $40 in my business. So, how did I make this shift? And what's the opposite of being failure fragile? It's what I call success grit. While fragile means flimsy, unsubstantial, easily broken, grit means courage and resolve. Success grit is our courage and resolve to keep going in the face of failure and fear. Success grit is the feeling that helped me hit 2K, then 5K months in my business and ultimately led me to my first 6 figures. Success grit is the feeling I'm tapping into right now when I'm making changes to scale my business to millions. To me, success grit feels like a solid core in my body, a strong backbone, and a fire inside of me that doesn't stop burning. So here's how to create success grit. First, don't expect confidence. So for those of us who are failure fragile, we want to feel confident before we take action. But that just isn't how this works. You won't feel confident. If you're feeling confident, most likely whatever you're going to do is not going to be enough to get the results you want. Success beyond what you've created before doesn't come from confidence. Stop waiting to be confident. Next, know that courage means taking action with fear. Not only will you not feel confident, you will definitely feel afraid. Courage sounds really nice, but it feels like crap. It means taking action on the thing you aren't sure will work while feeling afraid. And finally, resolve means continuing to take action and never give up. To have taken courageous action on the thing you weren't sure would work, discover that it doesn't work, and then evaluate to find out why you think it didn't work, and then try it again with one tweak. And continuing that process over and over until you find what does work. This is the secret sauce of reaching your financial goals and building a super successful business. It's the answer that we all wish wasn't the answer, but this is how I did it. It's the most important thing that you need to know about making any money in your business, then reaching 100K in your business, then scaling from there. For me, the thought that kept me going before and now is this: I'm going to figure it out no matter what. I decided that if I just kept taking action, learning and tweaking as I went, eventually I would exhaust all the ways that there were to fail and accidentally succeed. I thought there could only be so many ways to fail at this before I just stumble on how to make it work. And that was true. And if it's true for me, it's true for you. If I can do this, you can too. Success grit is how. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, MAMATOCEO.com.